everyone, I am Jill Reagan with Whispering Willow Farm, and welcome back. It is another icy winter day here, so I am snugged inside with a warm cup of coffee and the heat blaring. But since I'm not outside doing a ton today, I'm inside working on spreadsheets. If you've been following for any period of time, you know I have a spreadsheet for everything. I quite literally live by a spreadsheet. And I shared a little bit of my spreadsheet in a previous vlog I did, and Nathan said that there was a lot of expressed interest on if you guys can get my spreadsheet. Now, I don't feel comfortable giving out my spreadsheets, especially if they're spreadsheets revolved around prices for particular customers, but what I can do is show you how to create your own farm spreadsheet. So that is what we are going to do today. I'm gonna be working in Google Sheets. You could do Microsoft Excel. You could even do a notebook if you want. However, I do find that there's value in keeping a digital copy as well, just because I've learned through the years, I've lost a lot of notebooks. I've even had some, left in the tunnel, and they've gotten wet, and really, you don't want to have to just keep redoing the work that you've done. And so today I'm going to walk you through my Farm Plan 2023 Varieties and Rotation spreadsheet and teach you guys how to get your farm on a spreadsheet. And not only get your farm on a spreadsheet, but break this up into particular areas. Say you're growing a ton on your farm, and if you had one long running list on that spreadsheet, it's not going to be really easy to identify certain crops and varieties because you're having a long list to go through. So I'm gonna walk you through what it looks like and help you all create your own. So before I get started building out my spreadsheet, there is something that I like to do. I like to grab a piece of paper and I like to jot down a rough idea. Really everything that I'm putting down on the spreadsheet is finalized, so I like to go through and have an idea. You guys can see here, this is just a sketch from my phone on a notebook. It's a spring tunnel. I've got all my beds laid out, my tomatoes, then I've got the summer tunnel. And I've got this is our raised bed garden up here. We've got our cottage garden. This is where our sunflowers are. And so we just kind of have it mapped out here. That way I can know, in the raised bed garden, we have all of our dahlias. So on that piece of paper, I recommend you sketch out your space, whether you are working with a high tunnel, maybe you're working with a raised bed garden, maybe you have in-ground gardening, and be very specific. So I have each of my tabs on my spreadsheet broken up into the different areas that I'm growing on my farm. So I have got the production tunnel, which is the tunnel that we're selling from. I've got the greenhouse tunnel, I have the raised bed garden, the cottage garden, my edible flowers, and my sunflowers. So any space that you're going to be growing, make sure that you jot that down. That way you have it under a different tab. This is just going to be really helpful when you're getting ready to plan out your season, and especially if you're wanting to succession sow some of these things as well. Down here at the bottom, you can see all of my different tabs. You simply do that by just creating a plus sign here, and you can add a sheet and go in and just rename that sheet. If you don't want it, you can just simply delete it. And so I've deleted a sheet, but we've got it all kind of mapped out here and the different things that we're doing. And you can keep doing this until you have completed all of the different spaces on your farm that you want to include in your spreadsheet. All right, so once I have figured out all of my tabs of all the areas that I'm gonna be growing in, I'm going to, at the top, create crop, variety, and then the season. I like to put these in bold. That way it's just super easy to read, and I will show you guys what this looks like. So hopefully you guys have already implemented my best seed starting system ever. If not, I'm gonna put a link to it up here. But you should already have an idea of what you're growing, how much you're growing of each, and you've got a good plan on paper, right? If you're starting your seeds right now, you have to make sure that you have the space to put those seeds out. And so I like to, like I said, divide it up into crop, variety, and spring. So I'll have one that's for the summer production, the fall production, and the winter, because certain things are gonna change. My things aren't going to be growing as fast in the winter as they would in the spring. And so those are just some notes. Now, I'm super detailed because we're growing year round. We're growing for a few different customers, and we're also growing for our family. Now, If you are just growing for your family, this can be pretty basic. You may not have all of these tabs. You may not have spring, summer, fall, and winter categories. You may just have summer garden. You may just have winter garden. That's totally fine. This is just something that I'm going through in detail because you all have asked for it, but simplify it. Do whatever works best for you. So now I'm going to walk you through what this looks like for me and how I kind of plan this out. I like to list the crop variety, spring. We are doing everything in our existing tunnel for the spring, and then our new tunnel will be up come summertime, and we'll start all of our summer rotations in there. So I know that I am growing the cucumber, which will be the Katrina, and then these are those detailed notes you'll need to figure out according to the back of the seed packet. I'm gonna have 2 rows per bed every foot. Calculate how many I need to start, and I'm gonna start 4 weeks apart, and I'm gonna be transplanting out 12 total. Then over here on our tomato, we're gonna be doing Abigail. I'm gonna have 2 rows per bed every 2 feet. I'm gonna plant all these at once, so no succession planting, and I'm gonna need 24 plants total. So that 24 plants total, that's gonna be for the Abigail, the lemon, the carbon, and the golden sweet. Then we have lettuce here, so I'm doing the Salvanova mix. I need to do and start 80 weekly, 4 to 5 rows per bed, every 6 inches on a 6 by 6 square. So that's the 35 soil blocker times 3 is what I need to be starting every week. We've got the Florence fennel, 80 fennel, 40 rows, 6 inches apart, 10 feet of bed space. My carrots, doing rainbow, direct seed, 4 rows per bed, heavy seed, thin out. Radish, direct seed, 4 rows large, 6 rows small varieties. Beets, I've got 2 different varieties, transplant 4 rows per bed, 6 inches apart, 2 seeds per 35 soil block, transplant then down to 2. We've got spinach, culinary spinach, 5 rows per bed, every 3 to 4 inches, could direct seed or transplant tighter than lettuce. But what's so important about this whole system, right, creating this spreadsheet, is because I'm not just saying, all right, I need to plant out cucumbers. I am saying I need to plant cucumbers of this variety. I need to be transplanting 12 of those, and then every 4 weeks I need to be starting another one. And then I'm even being specific on the trays that I need to plant them in. That way I can take my phone, my computer, whatever, head down to the greenhouse on transplant day, know immediately how much of that bed is designated to what. When I'm in the greenhouse seeding, I know on those beets I'm seeding 3 per cell, and then just really keeping the best 2 transplants and just snipping off that last one. These notes are gonna save you so much time and energy versus maybe you don't have a plan and you go out into your garden and you've got your stuff from your greenhouse, or maybe you're direct seeding and you think, I wonder how much I could get by with. I wonder how far apart I space these. Well, then you're gonna have to truck back in your house. You're gonna have to find your seed packet, figure out what the back of that seed packet says, go back outside and start transplanting and figuring that out. Because that's a lot of wasted time. And even if you're a home gardener, we wanna be efficient with those systems. We wanna max out that space. More than likely what you'll find too is that the back of a lot of seed packets, unless you're growing from a seed company who really works with market gardeners, they're gonna tell you to plant a lot further apart than you have to. We do a lot of dense plantings here, and it's worked really well for us. We're able to just crank out way more food. I really like the Johnny's Seeds website. Even the back of their seed packets, they are very, very detailed. You can go look up that particular variety, which is what I do. I go to Johnny's, I figure out what I'm growing, I look at their growing suggestions and growing information. I'll even look at their harvest suggestions, and I will put down any information that I feel like is relevant to know in my spreadsheet. That way I always have it as a reference. And by doing this on the front end, when I order those seeds, it really takes the guesswork out of it when I'm in the greenhouse and when I'm transplanting out into our gardens. So you may ask yourself, why would I want to do this? This is an extra step. I don't need to do this. And you're right. You don't need to do this to grow food, but I do believe that if you implement a system like this, you're gonna grow more food because you're gonna have a plan. You are going to know exactly how to max out every single bit of space you have available to you. And I'll go through in each of those tabs. In the raised bed garden, we're doing a lot of dahlias, so I will put, you know, in my 40-foot bed, I can fit 2 rows of dahlias spaced however much apart, which means I can fit about 85 dahlias per 40-foot bed. In the cottage garden, I will go and do this. I will figure out, you know, all of those perennials that I can put in there. And then I know that that's kind of a one-time thing. It is just a really great way to get an idea and a lay of the space that you're working with. And also jotting that stuff down on paper or in an Excel spreadsheet, you can do all those calculations ahead of time, which really is gonna save you time. And then let's just say maybe you're in a situation where you're not able to do your planting that week or start your seeds. I travel quite a bit for work, and so there are a lot of times that Nathan will have to take over, and when I have everything laid out as far as even the soil block and the container you need to start these in, so not only does it take the guesswork out for yourself, if ever you need help and someone has to do it for you, it takes all the guesswork out for them. You're being very, very detailed. And so to create one of these farm plan spreadsheets with your crops and your varieties is pretty simple. Create either a Google sheet or an Excel sheet. On the bottom, create different categories for your growing area. Make sure you have the crop, the variety, and then, you know, the season that you're growing in isn't maybe necessary for you, but I do think having those notes, and in the notes, I would make sure that I always put how many you're transplanting, how far apart you're transplanting, if you're succession sowing them, when you need to make and start that next succession, and just anything you would need to max out space. And then really what you can do is figure out everything on the front end, what you can do. And once you've created this, you can go buy those seeds. If you've already bought your seeds, that's fine. Figure out where to put this in. But the farm plan is one of the first things that we do. Then we start plugging it into our seed starting system. And then we're just really ready to rock and roll after that. So I am going to pan over to the spreadsheet again if you guys want to screenshot it. That way you can come back and reference it when you're making your own. Again, just know that your space is gonna be different. You're probably gonna have some different guidelines depending on your climate and your zone. This is what I'm doing here in Central Arkansas, Zone 7B, and it's working for me. But my roadmap's not gonna be your roadmap. Unfortunately, you are gonna have to figure out your growing conditions. You know, maybe you don't have as long a season as I do, you're not able to do as many successions, that's fine. You just need to make sure that you know when your estimated last frost is, your estimated first frost, and you can really kind of build your garden plan around that. All right, you guys, that's a wrap. I know this was really kind of a quick overview. Again, I could show you, that way you guys have kind of a guide on how to create your own, but really each and every one of your guys's are gonna be so different than mine. So I really just wanted to show you the model and how to get started. But thank you guys for hanging out with me. If you have more questions, you know, this is just one spreadsheet. If you guys like this, you know, let me know in the comments if you want me to create more and break down some of my other spreadsheets for you guys. Just let me know. But thanks for hanging out with me. I'll talk to you soon.